The Galactic Council chamber on the world of Vorth Prime glowed with silver light. Hundreds of alien leaders filled the hall. Their shapes and colors were different, but their goal was the same. They all looked at the blue image of Earth floating in the center of the room. The hologram spun slowly, showing oceans and green lands. To them, it was a young world filled with a strange and unpredictable race. The Council had gathered to make a decision that would shape the galaxy. For many years, humans had remained hidden in their small corner of space, slowly building machines, rockets, and satellites. They had just started to reach beyond their home system. Some races in the Council believed Earth should be left alone, but most felt uneasy. They said humans were too emotional and too creative. They feared that one day humanity would become powerful enough to challenge them. A tall being named Arvek, leader of the Zelkar Dominion, stood at the center podium. His voice echoed through the chamber. He spoke with authority and calm. "My friends of the Council, humanity is a young and wild species. They act without order. They fight each other. They build weapons. They have no respect for balance. If we allow them to grow freely, they may bring chaos to all worlds. The best way to protect the galaxy is to guide them, to control them." The room murmured with agreement. A few races, like the gentle Varine and the thoughtful Sari, hesitated. They spoke quietly among themselves. The Varine leader, a being with glowing skin, said softly, "But they have not harmed us. Should we enslave them for what they might do?" Arvek turned to her with a firm tone. "We are not enslaving. We are preserving. The humans will live, but under our direction. They will serve, not destroy." His words spread through the crowd like a cold wind. One by one, hands, claws, tendrils, and metallic limbs rose. The vote was clear. Every alien race in the Council agreed to the motion. Humanity was to be taken and controlled. At that very moment, far from Vorth Prime, on the warm sands of the Sahara Desert, a human named Ryan stood inside his small underground laboratory. The air was dry, filled with the hum of machines and the faint glow of lights. He had spent 10 years working on a new communication array. His dream was simple. He wanted to reach the stars and send a message of peace to any race that might be out there. That night, his machine came alive. The screens flashed with unknown symbols. The signal was unlike anything he had seen before. He leaned closer, adjusting the receiver. The message grew stronger. As his computer translated the alien code, words began to appear on his monitor. The translation was broken but clear enough to understand. It read, "Council Decision, Enslavement Protocol, Planet Earth." Ryan froze. His hands trembled slightly. He read the message again and again, hoping it was a mistake. But it was real. Somewhere out there, beings far more advanced than humans had decided that Earth should be ruled by them. He looked up at the stars through the small window of his lab. The night sky was beautiful and silent. He thought about his people. They were far from perfect, but they were learning, building, dreaming. The idea that someone would take away that freedom filled him with a deep unease. Rian was not a soldier. He was a scientist who loved discovery. But that night he felt something awaken inside him. It was not anger. It was resolve. Humanity must know. They had to prepare not to destroy but to survive. He spent the next few days decoding the full message. It described the plan in detail. The first invasion fleet would come from the Zelkar Dominion. They would land in the major cities of Earth and establish control. The Council believed humans would not fight back. They thought humans would obey out of fear. Rayan smiled faintly as he read that part. He knew his people. Humans could be afraid, but fear never made them bow. Fear made them think, adapt, and rise. He copied the data and began sending it to scientists and leaders around the world through hidden channels. Most did not believe him at first. Some said it was a trick or a cosmic echo. But then strange movements appeared in the sky. Telescopes detected massive objects near the edge of the solar system. They were not asteroids. They were ships. Governments called emergency meetings. Satellites were redirected. All major nations began working together. For the first time in human history, unity replaced conflict. While leaders spoke and armies prepared, Ryan continued his work in silence. He studied every bit of alien data, searching for weaknesses. He found that the Zelkar ships used energy cores that reacted to electromagnetic waves. It was not much, but it was a start. Days turned into weeks. The tension on Earth grew. People went about their lives, but everyone felt it. the sense that something vast and unstoppable was coming. Ryan often looked at the sky at night, wondering how many civilizations watched them now. He thought about the Council and their arrogance. They saw humans as a danger, but perhaps the real danger was their pride. On Vorth Prime, the Council celebrated their decision. They believed peace had been secured. Arvek stood before the assembly again and said, "The humans will serve the greater good. The galaxy will be safe." Cheers echoed through the hall. None of them knew that their message had already reached the very species they planned to enslave. Back on Earth, a quiet storm was forming. Scientists shared discoveries. Engineers modified old satellites into defense tools. Ordinary citizens volunteered to help in any way they could. Humanity was not preparing to surrender. They were preparing to endure. Rian became a hidden symbol among scientists and thinkers. His message spread not through fear but through hope. People began to say a single phrase again and again: "We are not weak." In a small meeting held under the mountains of Nepal, world leaders gathered secretly. The room was dim and quiet. They all knew the truth now. Ryan stood before them with his data files and spoke clearly. "We are being watched. They believe we are a danger because we can feel, because we can imagine, and because we can hope. That is our strength. We must show them what humanity truly means." Some leaders looked nervous. Some were ready. They all agreed that Earth would not kneel. They decided to unite under one defense network. Ryan's communication array became the center of the plan. It could reach beyond the atmosphere and locate alien signals. In the following weeks, Rian and a team of experts began testing new frequencies. They learned how to distort alien transmissions. They could not stop the invasion, but they could delay it. Every delay mattered. Every moment gave humanity time to build. Across the world, factories turned into research labs. Universities became centers of innovation. People worked day and night. Children drew pictures of ships and planets, dreaming of meeting aliens one day. They did not know that the first meeting would not be peaceful. Ryan often felt the weight of what he had discovered. He wondered if there was another way, a way to talk to the Council and change their minds. But deep down, he knew that those who voted to enslave would not listen to reason. Only strength and unity could protect Earth now. The night before the alien ships entered the solar system, Ryan stood on a hill near his lab. The wind was calm and the stars were bright. He could see the faint lights of his city in the distance. For a moment he felt proud. Despite all their flaws, humans had come together. He whispered to himself, "They will come thinking we are weak, but they will see who we are." Far away on Vorth Prime, Arvek prepared his fleet. The ships rose from their docks, gleaming under the twin suns. To the Council, it was a victory waiting to happen. To Earth, it was the beginning of something far greater. Humanity was about to face the galaxy, not as slaves, but as a species ready to prove that courage, unity, and imagination were the most powerful forces in existence. And though the stars seemed distant and cold, every heart on Earth burned with one thought: the future would belong to them. The world held its breath as the first alien fleet entered the solar system. Massive ships shaped like curved blades moved slowly toward Earth. Their silver surfaces reflected the sunlight. They came from the Zelkar Dominion, the same empire that had led the vote to enslave humanity. Each ship was the size of a city, carrying thousands of soldiers and machines. The Galactic Council watched the invasion through their long-range sensors with complete confidence. They believed it would be quick. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky and saw strange lights moving among the stars. Governments tried to keep the truth hidden, but soon everyone knew. It was no longer possible to deny it. The aliens had arrived. Fear spread quickly, but it did not last long. People had already been preparing. In the underground command base, beneath the Sahara, Ryan stood before a large screen showing the incoming fleet. Around him, scientists and engineers worked non-stop. The communication array he had built months earlier had become the core of Earth's defense network. It connected satellites, drones, and command centers from every country. General May, a calm woman with sharp eyes, entered the room. She had been one of the first to believe Ryan when he warned the world. She looked at the display and said quietly, "So they are finally here." Ryan nodded. "Yes. They think we will bow, but they are wrong. They think they know us, but they do not understand what it means to be human." The general smiled slightly. Then we will teach them. In the following hours, the world came alive with coordinated action. Satellites began transmitting signals to confuse alien sensors. Civilian networks turned into emergency communication lines. Every nation shared information freely. There were no borders now. Humanity was one. High above Earth, the first Zelkar ships entered orbit. They released smaller crafts that burned through the atmosphere like meteors. Each one carried machines that could disable technology and control large areas. They landed in deserts near oceans and around major cities. But something unexpected happened. The machines did not work as planned. The humans had already studied the Zelkar signal systems. Ryan's team had created counterwaves that disrupted their frequencies. The alien devices went silent before they could begin their task. In the main ship of the fleet, Commander Arvek watched the readings in disbelief. His long fingers moved across the control panel. Their technology is primitive. How could they block our systems? He said to his officers. One of the officers answered, "They must have learned from our transmissions. It is impossible for them to act this quickly." Arvek looked at the blue planet below. Impossible or not, they have. He ordered his fleet to change strategy. The Zelkar soldiers began to land in different regions, using personal energy shields and advanced armor. They expected humans to hide or run, but they were met with something else entirely. They found determination. In the city of Nairobi, engineers had turned old transport drones into flying traps. In the forests of Brazil, biologists used sound frequencies to jam alien equipment. In Asia, entire communities built decoys to mislead enemy sensors. Humanity fought not with strength, but with creativity. At the Sahara base, Ryan watched data flow across the screens. He saw how people everywhere were adapting. Every failure turned into an idea. Every loss became a lesson. He felt a quiet pride. The aliens had underestimated human minds. General May approached him again. Our satellites detected a weakness in their central ship. They are using an energy pulse every few minutes. We might be able to trace it and hit them from orbit. Ryan studied the data carefully. We do not have the weapons to destroy them, but we can make them afraid. If we show them we are not helpless, they will begin to doubt. With limited resources, Ryan and his team reprogrammed several old satellites into powerful emitters. When the next energy pulse came from the alien ship, they sent a counterwave directly into it. The signal bounced through the Zelkar network, causing confusion among their ships. Alarms blared inside the alien command rooms. Commander Arvek looked at the screen as his systems flickered. "They are attacking our communication core," an officer shouted. Arvek growled softly. "They are more dangerous than I thought. Increase shield power and prepare for a counterstrike." But before they could act, one of the Zelkar vessels near the moon lost control and began spinning. The humans had managed to overload its navigation system. The massive ship drifted off course and crashed into another vessel. A bright explosion lit the space above Earth. The people on the surface saw it and cheered. It was the first victory, small but powerful. On Earth, the news spread fast. Crowds gathered in cities, not in fear but in unity. They sang, they worked, and they built. Humanity's spirit grew stronger with every passing hour. Ryan looked at the live feeds from around the world. He saw miners repairing machines, farmers giving food to soldiers, students writing codes to confuse alien networks. No one waited for orders. Everyone acted. As days passed, the Zelkar realized that they were not fighting a single army, but an entire planet that refused to yield. The humans did not fight like any other species. They used simple tools in unexpected ways. They adapted faster than the aliens could plan. In one region, fishermen used their sonar systems to locate hidden alien drones underwater. In another, mountain villagers used mirrors to redirect sunlight and blind alien sensors. Every act of resistance, no matter how small, pushed the aliens further into confusion. Inside his command ship, Arvek faced growing frustration. His officers spoke in worried tones. "Commander, they are learning too fast. Their unity makes it difficult to predict their actions." Arvek clenched his hands. We will not lose to a race of primitives. Prepare to send ground reinforcements. But the longer the war lasted, the more the aliens realized that technology alone could not win. They had studied thousands of worlds, but none like this one. Humans were unpredictable. They laughed even when they were afraid. They helped each other even when there was no reward. They refused to surrender even when outmatched. Ryan and his team continued working day and night. They learned to read alien code lines, turning enemy messages into valuable information. One night, Ryan found something interesting. It was a partial transmission from the Council itself. It mentioned that more fleets were waiting if the Zelkar failed. That meant Earth would have to face more than one enemy empire soon. He went to General May with the news. If they bring more fleets, we cannot win by defense alone. We need to strike back. May agreed. Then we take their technology and make it ours. Ryan smiled. Yes. That is what humans do best. We learn. They began collecting pieces of crashed alien ships and studying them. Scientists from every continent shared discoveries through Ryan's network. They learned how to power small reactors and create stronger shields. For the first time, human ships were built to leave orbit not for exploration, but for defense. Meanwhile, on Vorth Prime, the Council watched the battle unfold with unease. The early reports of victory had stopped. The last transmissions showed human resistance spreading like fire. The Council members whispered among themselves. They were supposed to surrender. How are they winning? Arvek's superiors sent him a message. Do not fail. The honor of the Dominion is at stake. But deep inside, Arvek already understood the truth. He had seen something in humanity that no other race had. They fought not only for survival, but for freedom. That kind of power could not be calculated. After several weeks of battle, the Zelkar fleet began to retreat to repair damage. Their commanders were frustrated, but their soldiers were tired. They had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they found a planet that fought them with the strength of unity. Ryan watched their ships pull away and felt relief, but he knew it was not over. He turned to General May. They will return, and next time they will bring more. We must be ready. The general nodded. Then we will build faster. We will grow stronger. Earth had survived the first invasion. It was a victory that would be remembered for generations. Across the world, people celebrated not because they had defeated the enemy, but because they had discovered what they truly were. Humanity was no longer a scattered race of nations. They were one people, standing together under the same sky. Far above, the Zelkar ships disappeared into the darkness of space. Ryan looked at their fading lights and said softly, "They came to enslave us, but they will learn that no one commands the heart of a human." And as the stars shined quietly over the world, Earth prepared for what was to come next. Months had passed since the Zelkar fleet left Earth's orbit. The skies were quiet again, but the world had changed forever. Humanity had seen the truth beyond the stars. They were no longer alone, and they were no longer safe. The aliens who once saw them as weak now understood that humans could fight back. In every corner of the world, people worked together like never before. Factories that once built cars now produced spacecraft parts. Scientists who once competed now shared every discovery freely. The spirit of unity had become stronger than ever. Ryan walked through a large underground hangar in the Sahara base. The sound of engines echoed through the space as engineers worked on strange new machines. Some were small drones. Others were large metal ships built from both human and alien designs. The air smelled of oil and electricity. General May stood beside Ryan, looking at the progress with pride. "We have come far," she said. "But we still have much to learn." Ryan nodded. "Yes, but now we have what they never expected. We have imagination. We can take what they built and make it better." He walked toward a long silver ship resting in the center of the hangar. It was unlike anything made on Earth before. Its shape was sleek and sharp. Its engines glowed faint blue, and its surface shimmered with a strange energy. It was built using parts from the Zelkar ships that had crashed during the battle. "This will be the first human-built starship capable of leaving the solar system," Ryan said quietly. "We call it Unity." The engineers around them stopped for a moment to look at the ship. They all felt the same pride. This was not only a machine. It was a symbol. Weeks turned into months as the Unity project grew. Thousands of people worked day and night. Some designed engines, others worked on energy shields, while others trained to become crew members. The goal was not only to defend Earth but to explore and understand the galaxy that had tried to destroy them. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council grew restless. Reports of the failed invasion spread quickly among the alien worlds. Many leaders were shocked that a primitive world had resisted one of the strongest fleets in the galaxy. The council called an emergency session. Arvek stood before them, his expression calm but tired. "The humans are not what we thought," he said. "They are dangerous not because of weapons but because of their will. Every time we strike them, they grow stronger." The council leader, a tall being with silver eyes, leaned forward. "Then we must strike again. We cannot let them rise." Arvek shook his head slowly. "You do not understand. If we go again, they will not only defend, they will come for us." The council members murmured in disbelief. None of them wanted to believe that a small race from a single planet could ever challenge them. Yet deep down, they felt uneasy. Back on Earth, Ryan and General May met with the world leaders through a holographic conference. The faces of presidents, scientists, and military officers filled the screen. Ryan spoke clearly. "We know they will come again, but this time we will not wait for them. We will meet them beyond the stars." The leaders agreed. The world had already changed. There was no turning back. Humanity would no longer hide. They would explore, defend, and if necessary, confront those who threatened their freedom. When the Unity was finally ready, the entire world watched its launch. People gathered in cities, on mountains, and across oceans. Children held small flags with the image of Earth and a rising sun. The engines of the ship roared like thunder as it lifted from the ground and disappeared into the sky. Rian watched from the command center, his heart filled with pride. "That ship carries the hope of all humanity," he said softly. "It carries the message that we are no one's slaves." The Unity traveled beyond the moon and into the vast, dark sea of space. Its crew consisted of the best minds and bravest hearts of Earth. They had been trained not as soldiers but as explorers. Their mission was to find the truth about the Council and to learn more about the galaxy that had once judged them. Days turned into weeks as the ship moved through empty space. They found traces of old battles, abandoned stations, and forgotten worlds. On one of the small planets near a red star, they discovered the remains of a species that had been destroyed long ago. The markings on the walls of the ruins were similar to the symbols of the Galactic Council. It told a story of enslavement, rebellion, and extinction. Captain Mira, leader of the Unity crew, looked at the ruins with sadness. "They tried to control another race before us," she said, "and now they are gone." Ryan's recorded voice played through the ship's intercom. "That is why we fight not for power but for freedom. We will not become what they were." As the Unity continued its journey, they intercepted alien transmissions. The messages were about the Council preparing new fleets. The aliens had not given up. They were gathering on Vorth Prime once again. Captain Mira decided to send the message back to Earth. When Ryan received it, he immediately gathered his team. They had little time left. "Then we must be faster," Ryan said. "We will use the knowledge we have taken from the Zelkar cores to build new ships. If they come, they will not find a weak world. They will find a united one." Human scientists began creating weapons that used pure energy drawn from captured alien technology. Engineers built floating defense stations around Earth and Mars. The dream of Unity had now become a shield of strength. As the human fleet grew, more and more species across the galaxy began to notice. Some of them were once slaves under the Council's rule. They watched the humans rise and whispered among themselves. They had never seen a species grow so quickly or fight with such determination. In a distant mining colony, a small alien group sent a secret message to Earth. It said, "We have lived under the Council's rule for centuries. If you stand against them, we will stand with you." When Ryan received the message, he smiled. "It begins," he said. "The galaxy is waking up." Captain Mira and the crew of Unity began forming connections with other races who wanted freedom. Together they shared knowledge and built alliances. Humanity was no longer just defending itself. It was inspiring others. Meanwhile, on Vorth Prime, the Council became desperate. Reports arrived daily about rebellions and protests on their worlds. Even their own people had begun to question their rule. Arvek stood in the council chamber once more. You wanted to enslave the humans, he said coldly. But in doing so, you have taught them to surpass us all. Their technology grows faster than ours. Their spirit has no limits. The council leader replied, Then we will crush them before it is too late. Arvek looked at the hologram of Earth and said quietly, You will try, but you will fail. Back on Earth, Ryan looked at the stars each night from his laboratory window. He felt both fear and hope. He knew the coming war would be greater than before, but he also knew humanity was ready. He recorded a message for all people of Earth. It played on every screen and every station. We are human. We come from a small world, but our hearts are vast. They thought we would be slaves, but we have become something greater. The future belongs to those who stand together, and today we stand as one. The speech spread across the world and beyond. Even in distant colonies of other species, people began repeating the same words. We stand as one. When the next alien fleet began to move toward Earth, humanity did not hide. They launched their own ships to meet them in the stars. The Unity led the way. Its engines glowed brighter than ever, its crew ready to face whatever waited ahead. Ryan watched their departure from the command center. He knew that from this moment forward, humanity would never be the same. The galaxy had once feared their emotions, their creativity, and their courage. Now they would see why. Humanity had turned every weakness into strength, every challenge into invention, every attack into opportunity. They had become the very force that the Council had feared from the beginning. And as the fleet disappeared into the endless dark, Ryan whispered softly, They wanted to guide us, but they will soon follow us. The rise of human ingenuity had begun, and nothing in the galaxy could stop it. The Galactic Council had ruled for thousands of years, its power unchallenged. On Vorth Prime, their towering halls gleamed with gold and silver, symbols of their authority. Council members had long believed that no species could ever oppose them. The humans were the youngest race they had ever encountered, and yet in a matter of months they had grown into something the galaxy had never seen before. Commander Arvek paced across the council chamber. His long steps echoed in the high-ceilinged room. Every report they received now told the same story. Human fleets had struck back, captured alien ships, and liberated smaller species that had once served the Council. Arvek clenched his hands. He had expected fear, not this. The humans are no longer primitive, he said. They are clever, unified, and strong. We underestimated them. Council leader Selmar, a tall being with eyes that glimmered like crystals, leaned forward. Then we must act immediately. Gather all our fleets. We will strike at Earth before they grow even stronger. Arvek shook his head. It is too late. They have already begun alliances with other species. The Council's rule is weakening every day. If we attack now, we may lose more than we gain. Selmar's voice rose sharply. Do not speak of fear. They are humans. They cannot stand against us. But even Selmar could see the truth reflected in the reports. Humans had not only defended their planet, they had built ships capable of chasing the Zelkar fleet across the stars. They had learned from every battle. They had turned every challenge into opportunity. Rian, aboard the Unity, knew the Council's fear before they even realized it. His communication array had intercepted messages from secret meetings on Vorth Prime. He shared them with General May and the leaders on Earth. They think they can control the galaxy, Ryan said. But they have forgotten one thing. They cannot control humans, General May nodded. Then it is time we show them why. Earth's fleet had grown since the first invasion. Ships built with a mixture of human ingenuity and captured alien technology now patrolled the outer solar system. Each vessel had shields and engines stronger than anything the Council had seen. Human engineers had learned quickly. They understood the alien technology and then improved upon it. The Unity led the first strike beyond Earth's orbit. Captain Mira and her crew were prepared for any attack, but what they found surprised them. The Council had sent not just ships, but entire fleets converging toward Earth. Yet even in their numbers they hesitated. The humans had become unpredictable. They moved in ways the Council could not anticipate. They coordinated strikes with perfect timing. They liberated smaller planets along the way, gaining new allies. Species that had once feared the Council now stood beside humanity, ready to fight for freedom. On one of the Council's observation decks, Arvek watched the movements of the human fleet. His long fingers trembled slightly as he adjusted the display. They are faster than our calculations. Every step we take, they adapt. Every plan we make, they counter. A junior officer replied, "Commander, they are building alliances with other species. If this continues, the Council will lose more than just control over Earth." Arvek nodded silently. He had always believed in the power of strategy, in predicting outcomes, but humans did not fit the Council's rules. They were guided by intuition, creativity, and courage. These were things the Council could not predict or control. Meanwhile, Ryan directed the fleet with calm precision. He had studied the Council's habits and tendencies, but more importantly, he had studied humans. He knew they would act with intelligence and compassion even in war. Captain Mira's voice came over the intercom. "All units move into formation. Begin coordinated strikes on the Council's forward fleets. Remember, our goal is not to destroy them, but to break their control." The human ships glowed as they activated their engines. Their shields reflected the Council's attacks. Energy beams collided in space, creating patterns of light that could be seen across the solar system. Every hit was calculated, every movement precise. Rian monitored the results. "They are responding exactly as expected. Their fleets are retreating in disorder. Keep pushing forward." On Vorth Prime, the Council watched in horror as reports came in. Their fleets were scattered, ships captured, and soldiers surrendering. Entire planets had risen in rebellion. The humans had shown them a truth they could not ignore. Power alone did not make a species strong. Unity, intelligence, and courage did. Selmar slammed his clawed hand on the table. "How is this possible? They are only humans. They should be weak, disorganized, and afraid." Arvek's eyes were fixed on the hologram of the human fleet advancing toward their stronghold. "They are humans," he said quietly. "And we have forgotten that humans never yield." In orbit above Vorth Prime, the Unity and its allied fleet approached the Council's fortress. The massive structure rose from the planet like a mountain. Its shields were strong, but the humans had learned to exploit weaknesses in alien technology. Ryan gave the order. "Begin energy pulse synchronization. Focus on shield cores first, then immobilize the fleet." Energy waves shot from human ships, striking the Council's fleet. Systems faltered, shields flickered, and alarms rang across the alien vessels. Panic spread among the Council's forces. They had never faced an enemy that adapted so quickly, learned so fast, and acted with such unity. On the surface of Vorth Prime, citizens of the Council watched the skies in silence. Some were loyal, but many had begun to doubt the decisions of their rulers. The humans' rise had shown them that freedom was possible, that courage was stronger than fear. Inside the Council chamber, Selmar turned to Arvek. "We cannot hold them." "What do we do?" Arvek met his gaze. "We surrender," he said simply. "We accept what we have ignored for centuries. Humans are not to be controlled. They are to be respected." Selmar shook his head in disbelief. "Surrender? To humans?" "Yes," Arvek replied. "It is the only way to save what remains. Our fleets are scattered, our planets in rebellion, and our authority gone. The humans have changed the galaxy." Ryan and General May coordinated the final move. Human ships surrounded the fortress, cutting off any escape. The Council members realized that resistance was futile. For the first time in their history, they faced a species that had proven its strength without cruelty or tyranny. Rian sent a direct message to the Council. "You voted to enslave Earth, but you were wrong. Humans fight for freedom, for knowledge, and for unity. Surrender now, and we will ensure your people live in peace. Refuse, and you will see what a united species can do." There was silence on Vorth Prime. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Selmar finally nodded. "We surrender. We yield to your wisdom and strength." Arvek lowered his head. "May humanity guide us better than we ever guided others." Ryan watched the holographic display of the Council's fortress. The fleet stopped moving. Ships that had once carried soldiers of fear now floated silently. The galaxy had changed in a single day. Back on Earth, people celebrated. Not for destruction, not for revenge, but for survival, unity, and victory. Humanity had faced a threat that could have destroyed them and had emerged stronger, wiser, and united. Captain Mira and the crew of Unity returned to Earth as heroes. They were greeted not with fear but with gratitude and admiration. Children cheered, scientists shared knowledge, and leaders from all nations praised the courage of ordinary humans who had risen to extraordinary challenges. Rian and General May stood together, watching the celebrations. "We did it," May said softly. "Yes," Rian replied. "But this is only the beginning. We have shown the galaxy who we are. Now we must guide it with wisdom, not just strength. The fall of the Council marked the start of a new era. Humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could surpass even the greatest powers. The galaxy would never forget the rise of Earth and the species that refused to be enslaved. And far beyond the stars, in quiet corners of the universe, whispers began to spread. The humans were not only survivors, they were leaders. The galaxy had seen the heart of humanity, and it would never underestimate it again. The age of humans had begun, and no force, no empire, no council could take it away. The war was over, but the galaxy had changed forever. The Galactic Council had fallen, and the humans had risen not by force, but by unity, courage, and intelligence. Earth had survived the greatest threat it had ever faced, and humanity now stood as a beacon for the entire galaxy. Ryan walked through the streets of New Cairo, one of the new orbital cities that had been built to celebrate human achievement. People of all nations and backgrounds worked together in harmony. Children laughed and ran through open plazas, their eyes bright with curiosity. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were leaders, innovators, and explorers. General May joined him, her uniform reflecting the sunlight streaming from the city's domed ceiling. "It is almost hard to believe how far we have come," she said. Ryan nodded. "We survived because we refused to be afraid. We acted not out of hatred but out of hope, and hope is stronger than any weapon." The humans had not only defended their world, but they had also inspired change across the stars. Former slaves of the Council had joined with humanity to form new alliances. Trade routes were rebuilt, communication networks were shared, and knowledge flowed freely between planets. Captain Mira, now a senior commander, led the Unity fleet in a ceremonial parade through Earth's orbit. Ships from distant worlds once ruled by the Council flew alongside human vessels. Their colors and designs were different, but they all shared the same mission: to celebrate freedom. Ryan and General May watched from the observation deck as the fleet moved past. "This is what we fought for," May said softly. "Not power, not revenge, but cooperation." Ryan smiled. "Yes, humans are not meant to dominate. We are meant to guide through understanding. That is our strength." Back on Vorth Prime, the former Council members now lived under human supervision, but not as prisoners. They had been given a choice: to rebuild their society and work with the new Stellar Union, or to isolate themselves. Many chose cooperation. They had seen that humans ruled not by fear, but by example. Arvek, once a proud commander of the Zelkar, Dominion, now served as an advisor to the Stellar Union. He had spent weeks learning about humanity and their ways. One day, he spoke to Ryan. "I underestimated your species," Arvek admitted. "I believed strength came only from weapons and fleets. But I see now that courage, unity, and creativity are stronger. You have taught me a lesson I will never forget." Ryan placed a hand on Arvek's shoulder. "It is not about teaching. It is about showing what is possible. Every species can grow if it has the freedom to choose and the courage to act." Across the galaxy, humans had become known as the bearers of hope. Planets that had once feared the Council now welcomed humans as friends and partners. Scientists exchanged knowledge freely, educators taught new generations of leaders, and explorers ventured into regions that had once been forbidden. On Earth, new schools were built for children not only from this planet but also from other worlds. They learned languages, technology, science, and the history of the galaxy. They studied the mistakes of the Council and the courage of humanity. Ryan often visited these schools, speaking to the children about the importance of unity and hope. "Do not forget," he told them, "our greatest strength is not our ships or weapons but our hearts. We can face any challenge if we act together." Human engineers continued to develop new technologies using the knowledge they had gained from alien species. They built faster ships, stronger shields, and energy systems that could sustain entire colonies. But every innovation was guided by ethics, understanding, and respect for life. Captain Mira led expeditions to distant star systems. Every mission carried not only the tools of exploration but also messages of peace. Humanity wanted the galaxy to know that they were not conquerors, they were partners. During one such mission, the Unity encountered a planet on the edge of a gas giant system. Its inhabitants were wary of outsiders, having suffered under the Council's rule. Mira's team landed and offered aid, teaching the species to repair their technology and build sustainable energy systems. Months later, the same planet sent a delegation to Earth. They came with gifts, knowledge, and thanks. The humans had shown them a new way, and in return the planet joined the Stellar Union. Ryan watched the delegation arrive. He felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Humanity had survived the greatest threat, not by destroying others, but by helping them. The lessons of courage, unity, and creativity had spread across the stars, even. The former council members now spoke of humans with respect. They admitted that their vote to enslave Earth had been a mistake, and that their arrogance had nearly destroyed them. They had learned humility from the species they once sought to control. Selmar, the former leader of the council, now worked with humans to rebuild the systems of governance across former council worlds. "We wanted to rule with fear," he said. "But we have learned that respect and cooperation create stronger civilizations. Humans have shown us the way." As Earth continued to grow, humans established the first galactic academy for knowledge and diplomacy. Aliens and humans studied together, learned together, and trained to lead together. The academy became a symbol of a new age, where every species could find its place and contribute. Ryan often walked through the academy, watching students from multiple worlds collaborate on projects. He saw young humans working alongside alien engineers, biologists sharing experiments with students from distant planets, and philosophers debating ideas that could shape the future. "This is the beginning of something greater than any war," Ryan said to General May. "We have survived the Council, but now we are creating a galaxy worth surviving for." May smiled. "And we are showing everyone what it means to be human." The humans' influence spread quietly but powerfully. Planets once enslaved by the Council were now independent, yet they maintained close ties with Earth. Trade flourished, knowledge expanded, and exploration reached farther than anyone could imagine. Even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, stories of humanity were told. Young aliens learned of the species that had survived against impossible odds, that had risen from a small divided world to a force of hope and inspiration. They spoke of courage, creativity, and unity. On Earth, Ryan addressed a crowd in the central plaza of the new orbital city. His voice carried across the gathering, calm and strong. "Humans were once considered weak," he said. "Many thought we would bow, that we would fear. But we learned that true strength is not measured by power alone. It is measured by courage, by unity, and by the willingness to do what is right. We have survived and we have thrived because we dared to believe in ourselves and in each other." Children cheered, adults applauded, and even the visitors from distant worlds listened in awe. Ryan smiled, feeling the warmth of hope spread through the crowd. The age of humanity had begun. No longer were they seen as a minor species on a small blue planet. They were leaders, teachers, explorers, and partners. The galaxy had learned that humans were not only survivors, they were a force of inspiration. In quiet moments, Ryan often looked at the stars. He remembered the night when he first received the warning of the Council's vote. Humanity had faced extinction, and yet they had risen. They had turned fear into courage, challenge into invention, and threat into opportunity. General May joined him one evening, looking at the endless sky. "Do you think the galaxy will ever forget us?" she asked. Ryan shook his head slightly. "They may forget the fear, but they will never forget the courage. They will never forget that humans stood as one when the odds were against them. That is our legacy." And so Earth and its people continued to shine among the stars. Every planet, every world, and every being who had once feared the humans now recognized them as a symbol of hope. The species that the Council had once voted to enslave had shown the galaxy the true meaning of power. Not domination, not fear, but courage, unity, and compassion. The age of humanity had begun, and it would last as long as hearts remained brave, minds remained curious, and hands worked together. The story of Earth and its people became a legend whispered across galaxies, a tale of a species that faced impossible odds and emerged as a light in the darkness. And in the hearts of all humans, from the smallest child to the wisest elder, one truth remained. They had survived, they had risen, and they would never bow to anyone.